Hey everyone, welcome back to Programmers Mode. Hope you all are doing good. Are you tired of using important in your CSS and watching your style sheet turn into a tangled mess? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to avoid usage of important with simple yet powerful tips and some tricks, and I will reference those with some examples. Suppose some styles are not taking into an effect and you might tend to use important and suddenly it starts working, but that quick fix in your styles is something like putting duct tape on a broken pipe. Actually, it's not a real solution. Instead, let's learn how to work with CSS, not against it. So case 1 is understanding specificity. Before moving to the example, let's hover over this element and click on this. So in specificity, when I hovered, you saw three values as a specificity score. That values are with respect to ID, class and type. First ID means 1 comma 0 comma 0. It's nothing but the ID selector. Next is class. Class is something like the usability of dot notation and something like this which affects the specificity with respect to class column, and some pseudo classes with respect to single colon notation. It's something ends up giving us 0 comma 1 comma 0. And third comes the type column, something like p tags or header tags or table element tags, and some pseudo selectors or say pseudo elements which have a double colon notation as mentioned here. Okay, and this gives us 0 comma 0 comma 1. Also for the universal selector and the pseudo class colon, where there is kind of no specificity value that is being calculated. So if you use or no, irrespectively, the value of this specificity stays 0 comma 0 comma 0. That is, we can override it with other specificity rules. Go back to our example. Now, instead using important on this element with class name button, you can actually be more specific about the button in order to apply the styles. Here, the button will have a background color red that resides inside container, and adding this extra specification increases the score of this selector. Okay, which is 0 comma 2 comma 0. Here this follows the parent child relationship, but we can use this on sibling level as well. And as you can see, we have the same selector specificity score as previous. Let's move to second case with respect to Cascade. Okay, CSS is actually designed to apply the most specific styles at the later on stages, and some generalized rules and styles at the early or at the start stages. So taking example here, at early or general base styles are something like this, where by default the button class will be having background color of blue, but in certain cases we might want to update the background color of button. So instead, overriding button like this, what we can do is simply we can add here one more specification, as in where we want to actually make the background color different from the default one, and accordingly we can achieve that without using important. And as we hover on this, we can see the specificity score has been increased to 0 comma 2 comma 0. The third case is to try to avoid inline style. The primary reason why we should avoid this is the inline styles have a higher or say super higher specificity priority. Okay, and it is kind of pain when you try to override them. So here in this case, we should not be adding any styles with respect to inline styles like this case. Instead, we should give a class to whichever element we are trying to give style, and accordingly define that class style. Next is using CSS variables. Why? These values can be reused, which helps in reducing redundancy. Also, you can consider using CSS preprocessors such as Sass or less. Next is refactoring your code. If you feel kind of tempted to use important, it's probably time to refactor. Consider this code as an example. So instead adding this important tag here, what we can do is break it down into this two and use scoped selectors properly in order to avoid the usage of important. Before moving ahead, some bonus tips that I want to provide you in order to level up your CSS game. is to use scoped styles with CSS modules or say styled components. For example, the way we use in React. Also, we can utilize dev tools in order to debug some kind of specificity issues, and you can scope them using more specific classes or IDs. And third is be careful when overriding some styles of third party libraries. For example, in third party, say suppose there is a class called button and you directly select that button and give it a background color of red. It might happen that it is reutilizing that particular class at multiple places, and when you select that using the button class and give it a background color red, it might replicate on other places as well where you didn't want it to. Okay, so I will specify this, be more specific, and add scope selectors before overriding the styles of that particular library. This case is rare, very rare, but I just wanted to share. I will suggest never ever use important in your style sheets. So this particular case, usage of important is kind of not evil, because here we are using it for case where we want to override inline styles of a third party code. And that's it, folks. By following these tips, you can actually write cleaner, more maintainable CSS without relying on important. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more web development content, and let me know your favorite CSS tip in the comment sections below. We'll meet again in next video. Until then, take care and thanks for listening.